Everybody wants to know why it was God of War designed with the Hades of Hellblades the way that it was, because it's fucking horrific.
Right.
Let's be honest here.
It is. It's horrible. And you have to remember, back in the day, we didn't have the ability to patch something. So a lot, and I haven't played the Blue Point version of God of War like they did the HD version. So I don't know if they ever fixed that in that version or not.
They didn't.
Okay, so that was not intentional. And so we play tested that game within an inch of its life. We were constantly, it got to the point that almost every week was another play test. It was just a constant thing. And that made the game so much better. And then we started running out of time, and I told Shannon, I was like, I really would love to do a playtest on Hades because that was the last level we designed. But I was like, we're out of time. I got this based on how people have been playing in the other playtest. I think we know how to tune it. And Tim Moss, I'm going to give you the deep dive. Tim Moss, who is the lead programmer and the CTO at first, and I think he went on to be head of production at that studio. He came over when he saw me and Tobin doing a rough design of that. And he says, he's British. So he said, collision, governor. Our collision won't work for that. And Tobin's like,
on point.
Yeah. And Tobin's like, let me fucking play with it. I'll see what I can do. And he's like, I'm warning you, mate. This not going to work. I'm going to have to call Judge Dredd and the Leprechaun. I think the Leprechaun is Irish, but So Tobin did it. And I kind of forgot that conversation with Tim. And what we should have done if we were going to do it was make it a lot easier, because the reason that section is hard is not because it's get good hard. It's because the collision volumes are so out of whack with the visuals. And it was never meant to be hard. But by the time we shipped it, we didn't realize, or when we shipped it, we didn't realize that because we didn't play test it.
So if that's the case, why were the camera angles offset in that specific instance? Everything would have been fine, honestly, but you just needed to have a straight-on camera angle looking at the log. And because it was offset, you couldn't really see what was coming next at you.
Dude, I have no
everything
idea.
going straight.
It's possible we set the camera that way because we had set them all that way in that level. And again, if we look, when you play test, it is unless you've got, and I've never met anyone who's got this mind, unless you've got the kind of Queen's Gambit on the green pill times 100 mind, where you can think ahead and get outside the game developer headspace, you have to play test your games, right? And because you just get used to things. And so in the case of that level or that moment, the camera could have been as simple as we had been setting all of our other cameras that way, and we didn't know that section was any harder than any other section. And so it was just, we got to hurry and let's just set these cameras up kind of by template, right? It could have been that. It could have been that Tobin, the designer of that section, did catch the problem, and he might have said, hey, if the camera's this way, at least based on what he knew about the collision, which obviously he didn't take into account if this was the case, the player doesn't have that data about the collision. And so he was like, maybe it's easier once you know how the collision works to do it from here. But it was an absolute fuck up, and if we would have had if we would have had a patch, we would have patched the fuck out of it. Another example of that game, people say, well, what about the Ares fight, right? Well, the Ares fight was Eric Williams, who's the director of the new God of War, Derek Daniels, and Cory Barlog. And I came to them with the story, and it was like we were so far into the game, and I was so busy doing a million things at that point because it was like the game was done for the most part. So everything needed tuning, and everything needed play testing, and all this stuff. And we had to decide what bugs to let live with and what bugs to kill. So I said to them, I said, look, you guys are better at fighting games anyway. They were all like amateur fighting game contestants or competitors. And I also said, look, you guys are great designers as well, so just take this and run. I just want these story points to get hit, right? Mm-hmm. Well, those guys, in the same way that we got a lot of guys talking on Twitter today, though to them, difficulty is, is a virtue. I'm not saying they were trying to make it unbeatable, and it wasn't unbeatable at all. The Hades Tower was a mistake. This was just a little harder, and it didn't kind of really fit in with the tuning of the game that had come before it. But it was never, none of it was ever meant to be hard. It was never meant to be a game. It was paced to be a game that was completed, and we dropped the ball in a couple of places. So that's.
And I think that the biggest problem is obviously the ball that was dropped was consistently into back-to-back issues. Like you had Hades, and that goes pretty much straight into the Ares fight.
Right, which again is telling about the value of playtesting, because it was the back end of the game. We didn't build the game entirely in order, but we built it towards the end enough in order that it was like we saved the ending until the ending. And when you get to that point, you think you know what the game is, and you fucking don't until you bring in playtesters. And we just, so it was a lesson learned for sure. So, but that was why. That was why.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Man.
No. I appreciate you answering that. That's been a long withstanding question in my mind.
Anytime, Blake, sir. Call back anytime. I appreciate you, buddy.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. There goes Blake into the evening. Ricardo Estevez has been a member for 8 months of the Diet Show to Soldiers. Everybody take down your pantyhose and show him your nuts and berries or your taco, and do him a favor. Ricardo says, would you accept to remake God of War? Regardless of the answer, what would you change about it? Mucho kisses. Love you, dude, but get good. Go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself with a fucking blender, you cocksucking motherfucker. Listen to me, Ricardo. What would I do? Yeah, I would love them to remake God of War. Honestly, I would put in a couple of things that we had to cut. There was you can actually see some of this stuff on YouTube. You can, I would put in the sand elevator sequence. I would put back in the boss for Pandora's Box, which was this giant kind of falcon bird egg boss killing the babies of the mother bird egg or some such shit. I would put that back in. I would obviously change the tuning. I would make Hades more interesting. I would definitely want to add some stuff and not just plus it, but kind of improve it and whatnot. And yeah, I would do that. I would never cut the sex scenes. You kidding me? I mean, if it was up to me. So anyway, I feel that not paying attention to the final part of the game is disappointing. Yeah, well, welcome to life, pal. You're not wrong. It's not like we were morons. It's not like we were like, we're an idiot. We're going to, instead of paying attention to the last part of the game, let's go in the bathroom and see who can shit faster than the next guy. I mean, I know, but you're doing a gajillion things, man. You're doing a gajillion things, baby. And as you're doing them, you what do? You pick and choose, and you think you got something and you don't got something. Mutant Mo, hello, good sir. He says, spin on down to Twister's Titty Bar for the Sweet Tooth special. I'm glad that you used your member for 11-month chat to chat that, sir.